All right, we're good to go. We are live. We'll give people a few seconds to roll on in here, but yeah, thank you everybody for being here. This is the first episode, I guess, of what I'm calling Operation Optimize, which is basically exactly what it sounds like. Business consults can be in the Pokemon space, outside the Pokemon space, and luckily our first contestant is Dan Azard. He was kind enough to reach out after I did that last live, sort of talking about how I wanted to do this. So real quick, Dan, why don't you give everybody an intro, introduce yourself? Is this the first time you've been on like a podcast or anything like that, or have you done other podcasts before?
Yeah, I think I've jumped on ad hoc with people in lives, and I think actually like 2 or 3 years ago, I jumped on with Beerski back when he was doing his weekly intros. So, yeah, what's up, everyone? If I haven't met you, my name is Dan. I go by Dan Azard in Discord, Instagram, everywhere else. And yeah, Retro, thanks for having me on. I think everyone who does business at some level knows like it's really who you know and like you always aren't looking at your business the way others would. So whether it's in personal life or in business or in, kind of the 9 to 5 job, reaching out to people that can look at what you're doing and look at it from a different perspective is huge. So I appreciate you spending the time looking at what we've been working on for the past few years. And yeah, looking forward to hearing some of your feedback.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely echo everything you said there. And a lot of it too is like, asking people that have like made mistakes in the past, like a lot of the time it is personal experience, and, experience is the best teacher. But if someone can tell you, hey, like I did things this way, I made these mistakes in the past, here's how to avoid them. Like that can also be kind of helpful too. And I've definitely made a lot of mistakes in the past doing this business. So I've had a lot of learning experiences. So really quick before we jump into it, do you want to give everybody like a quick sort of like rundown about your business? I linked his eBay in the description below, and then I think on Instagram it's just Dan Azard, right? If they just type in Dan Azard, they can find you.
Yeah, you'll find me. I think it's Danazard _ TCG because Danazard was taken. But yeah, you'll find me there.
Okay, sweet. Why don't you give everybody like a quick rundown of your business, and then we'll hop right into it.
Yeah, so I kind of got back into the hobby post 2020, like many others, and went quickly from spending way too much money, like opening product and listening to goobers on the internet, like, hey, this is the card to buy. So I think after 3 to 6 months of that, I was kind of like, how do we make this a business? Prior to working in IT and software, I worked in retail, so I was very quickly on eBay on TCG Player, probably early 2021. And from there, we've just been continuing to scale the business. It's kind of been really nothing of like super official. Like we have all the business bank accounts set up and we do things legit and like file our taxes and all that. But it's kind of been, the hobby funding the hobby and funding big purchases. So have been kind of looking at it from a pretty like lax perspective. I think last year, gross, we did over 100K, pretty low margin, just being a cash basis business. But this year we kind of had our first child back in March and have been looking for opportunities to say, like, how do we make sure that we can continue to scale this and, we're able to kind of pay ourselves first in what we do. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So primarily selling on eBay and TCG Player. Every once in a while we'll send cards through James or send them to Dan or bulk out to streamers. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at today.
Sweet. Yeah. So I remember like when you sort of, so Dan sent me a really extensive readout of different things that are going on in his business, things that he feels are like bottlenecks and all that stuff, which was definitely appreciated. So you had a kid and your wife left her job to take care of the child. And so part of maybe the goal too is to like supplement a little bit of that income while she's at home taking care of the kid. And then you mentioned that like she can help you a little bit here and there with like shipping and stuff like that. So that can definitely help too. So when I was looking at your numbers, and we're not going to like say any like specific numbers just for like privacy purposes, I guess, but when I was looking at your numbers, your net right now looking or what it's looking like for 2025 is somewhere between like 25 and 40-ish%, which is solid. Like that's really good. The one thing that I would know up front is just as the more you scale generally, especially in this business, the net is going to shrink a little bit. So if you net like 40% now, if you double the business from here, maybe it drops to 35% or 30%, but that's okay because you can increase revenue without necessarily doing you could double revenue rather without necessarily like doing double the work. And we're going to talk about like some strategies for that as well. So you end up actually making more money net, more take home without doing like so much of this extra insane work. You wrote that you have like $1,250 coming out of the business monthly to sort of help with like house expenses and stuff like that. So annualized, that's like 15 grand. That's a super low hurdle rate. That's definitely easy to hit. You're already definitely hitting that right now with what you're netting this year, and then some take home. So that's great. So we can definitely clear that and continue to scale your net from there so that you're keeping more of that, helping to supplement your wife's income and things like that. And then you also mentioned that you have a really good job right now and that you don't necessarily want to leave that because the longer you stick around, potentially like the more you get rewarded, right? And that's totally okay. I would never suggest for anybody to like leave their job to do this full time. It's not to say that you can't or that like you're not smart enough or not good enough at this. But if you already have a good thing going, you just had a kid, trying to tell somebody like, hey, like forsake what a good thing that you have, benefits, all that sort of stuff to do Pokemon full time. That's a little bit of a sticky situation. So we can still grow this as a side business and still allow you to keep your juicy full-time job. So that's totally okay. But it's good to set like realistic expectations, right? Like it might sound good. And we kind of talked about this a little bit before we had like a preliminary call. But I just kind of want to like reiterate it for the audience, I guess. But like, it sounds great. Maybe like, ooh, like, I could be like a 7-figure business or something like that. But then when you actually start to put that on paper, it's like, well, is that actually what I want? Because what does that mean, right? Like, obviously that means like more work and more time. And when I was sort of going through everything that you had told me, time seems to be one of your like primary bottlenecks, right? Because like, obviously you have this new kid and you have a full-time job on top of that. So you got a lot of responsibilities. So but again, that's okay. Like we don't have to get there to still make a good chunk of change net. So it's just like managing expectations and then also sort of thinking about what you want, because with any business, you don't want to hit like level, you don't want to hit a point of burnout, right? So if you're pushing yourself just to sort of like hit this vanity number rather than pushing yourself to hit something that you want, that's where burnout can be created, right? Because you're not going to get any sort of fulfillment. If you're like we talked about earlier, you need to clear the $1,250 a month just for like household expenses and stuff like that. So setting like those sorts of, I guess, I'm trying to think of the word, but like those sorts of like defined goals is more important than sort of like having like a vanity metric. So I kind of just wanted to get that out of the way up front. All right, so we're gonna hop like straight into it. A large chunk of this, because a majority of your revenue is coming from eBay, so like a large chunk of this is going to focus around eBay, but we're going to talk about TCG Player and some other stuff as well. But I'm going to start like primarily with eBay. So one of the things that you had mentioned, again, this is all coming from like a sheet he had like sort of pre-sent me, is that you do have like cards sitting around waiting to be, sub to whether it's like CGC, PSA or whatever. Like get those out ASAP. That's pretty obvious, right? Like we don't need to sit around. PSA is not going to $15 anytime soon, and the turnaround times are terrible right now. So like we want to get those out as quickly as possible. Churn and burn for sure. So that's the first thing. You also mentioned that your unlisted inventory, and this is kind of like a wide range, but your unlisted inventory hypothetically is 3 to 7x the value of your current liquidity. So we need, and liquidity is also a bottleneck, time being like the primary bottleneck, but liquidity being like another bottleneck for sure. So we need to get that listed ASAP. And then in the future, so I'm kind of stealing this term from like Tech and Sports or Daily Refinement, but like we do not want to build a death pile in the future. And that's what that is like a death pile. It's a pile.
It's collectibles.
Say that again.
I said, this is collectibles though, when you're doing it kind of as a hobby it's like, oh, this thing's cool, I'll buy 20 of these and put them in a corner and forget about them. But when you kind of shift and then you're still rolling, like that snowball appears. But yeah, it turns like a collector into a hoarder, into, like you said, sitting on so much inventory that it's like, yeah, processing it becomes the most important if you're trying to optimize for liquidity, which, like you said, you need liquidity to continue to grow. So yeah, totally agree with kind of being facetious.
Yeah, yeah, no, and absolutely, and that can be tough. It's a little easier for me. Like I'm not really a collector, so it's easier for me to compartmentalize. Like I don't really have to think like, is this a collection? Is this the only thing I really have to separate is like maybe like long term, sealed type investments, or speculations or stuff like that from like actual inventory that I need to be turning over. But again, if liquidity is a bottleneck, like we need to remedy that. And so that can mean maybe like selling out part of the collection, selling out part of the long-term hold. And you can sort of like on your end, you can sort of choose the things like if you have, I don't know, some evolving skies stuff or whatever that you still feel has like tremendous upside, and you're like, hey, like I can maybe afford to hold on to this, but there's all this other stuff I can list. You can prioritize. It doesn't mean you have to like dump everything right now. But the fact that the unlisted inventory is 3 to 7 times of like what you have liquid for the business to operate with, like we need to bump that up for sure. So, and that can also be a thing moving forward, kind of like you said, is, if you want to do this as a business, if you want to be optimized, then it's like making those decisions up front. So it's like, all right, well, if I'm going to collect, like how much do I allocate to my collection? And then maybe like you put that somewhere like separate from your inventory. So it's sort of like an out of sight, out of mind thing. The more that you can sort of like compartmentalize things from each other and be like, this is inventory, I bought this to be inventory, then you don't fall into the trap of like you buy something, it comes in, you're like, oh, this is really cool, maybe I'll keep it, right? Like that, we can't be doing that if we want to grow the business. So yeah, that's definitely something that I would recommend. We need to get that. And then in the future, like don't build a death pile. And we're going to talk about like how to avoid that and not do that. But so right now, when going into eBay, so when we looked at your eBay, you have a 50% sell-through rate on eBay, which means you have around, I want to say it was around like 1,200-ish items listed on eBay, and you've sold around 550 to 600 in the last 90 days. So that's what I mean by a 50% sell-through rate. So ideally, we're going to try to move to a 100% sell-through rate, meaning that you're turning over the value of your entire listed inventory at least one time in a 90-day period. So you're turning over your entire inventory 4 times in a year. Like that's the goal. If we can get above that, 1.2, 1.5, 2, great. But we need to get that to 100%, to a 1-to-1 ratio. So we're gonna talk about how we can do that. And the first thing, this is going to sound really obvious, but we only buy good items. We only buy good items. That sounds super, super obvious, but we only buy items that have the sell-through rate that's going to meet our metric. So when you go to purchase something, you're going to go on eBay, and do you know how to check the sell-through?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
look
like,
for the 100% sell through, and that's
exactly.
like up until like 6 months ago. That's primarily what our eBay looked like. It was about a quarter of the amount of listings sitting at like 200-300 with 100% sell through. Over the past few months, as we've been waiting for PSA subs to come back, have just been listing a whole bunch of more bulkier stuff from like old collections, like old WotC collections and vintage collections. So if you go on there now, there's like a whole bunch of Sun and Moon reverse hollows that have just been sitting in a binder that my wife can go and process, and we can push through the scanner really quickly. So yeah, I definitely agree. Like being closer to 100% sell through is the goal. There is a lot of older stuff sitting here that may not be like really even worth listing, or not worth selling to a streamer and bulking out. So that's kind of how we got from like the 500 range, or really 400 range in items, to the 1.2 we're at today.
Yeah, so I mean, everything is worth selling. It's just like how we go about selling it, and a lot of that stuff, I imagine, and we'll talk about this a little bit later too. A lot of that cheaper stuff, I imagine you're kind of like free balling on already. Like I imagine
Yeah.
there's not yeah, I imagine there's not a
Yeah.
ton of sunk cost. So that puts you in a really good
None.
position, which is great. But only buying the good items and doing it over and over and over is going to save you a lot of time on listing. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later too. We're going to going deep, like so. Rather than like breadth, right? Rather than having like so many different things, we're going to just focus on the things that do really well for us. And we're going to double, triple, quadruple down on those things. That's going to save you time on listing. Like we're trying to get you some of your time back here, right? Because this is a huge bottleneck. And then when things are coming in, you don't have like 500 random items, because what ends up happening when like everything you have coming in isn't a good item, psychologically, you get backed into this corner where you're like, okay, well, I only want to list the good stuff because I know this is going to sell. And then you end up like, let's say you buy a 500 card collection, you list the 200 best cards, and then the other stuff, you're like, well, this is cheap and it's kind of due
Goes
to
into a
anyways.
shoebox.
Yeah, exactly. It sits in a shoebox, and then you have all this like tied up value, and like that's not good, right? Like we want to get 100% of the value out of every single thing we're buying. So if we make the right decisions up front and only buy things we know are going to have a good sell through, then we don't get into that psychological trap where we're building these death piles, and then it's overwhelming looking at it, thinking like, oh my god, I have like 1,000 cards I need to list, but like they're all $2-3 cards that I feel like are going to take forever to sell. So it's like a slog to list them, right? So setting yourself up for success up front is a huge part of that. So you said you know how to go find the sell-through rate on eBay. So like for everybody listening that maybe doesn't know how to do that, like let's say you're looking at, I don't know, like the Crown Zenith Secret Rare Pikachu or something like that, right? So I think the number on that card is like 160. So you're going to go on eBay, you're going to type in Pikachu, 160 out of 159 Crown Zenith, filter by buy it now, and you're going to see how many listings are listed. If you want to sort by near mint too, that's fine. And it's going to pop up in the corner and it's going to say, 300 listings available. Now, obviously, like there's going to be people that like label stuff incorrectly, or listings that pop up just because someone's paying 20% promotional rate. And so maybe the item has nothing to do. So maybe if it says 300 are listed, there's like 270 or something like that. There might be like a 10% spread of items that aren't actually that thing. Then you're going to go filter by sold, right? And so if there's 300 listed and 300 sold, that means 300 have sold in the past 90 days. So that means the entire quantity listed on eBay are selling through in a 90-day period. So we're only going to buy items that meet that metric. Now, you can also add on top of that if you want to get like real crazy with it, and you can add a profit metric. So you can say, okay, well, not only am I going to buy items that only sell through at 100% plus rate in a 90-day period, but I'm also only going to buy items that make me a profit metric. So maybe you're like, I'm only going to buy stuff if it makes me 10% profit, 20% profit, $5 a card, whatever the match. You don't have to do that, but that's something that you could add on top of it. And you can play with that too, because you might say, okay, well, my metric is 15%. I need to be making 15%. That's what I value my time at. But if you know the item is like stupid liquid, like beyond liquid, it's like steam or something, that kind of stuff, maybe you can take a little less on. If you're used to only taking 15%, but hey, if I put 10 of these up, they're all going to sell in a week, take 10%. Why not take 10%? I watched I think it was a Rick Ross interview, and this guy was interviewing him, asking him, how are you going to get to $1 billion? And he said, one thing that I do that a lot of business people don't do is I never leave money on the table. He said, if I'm in Miami with my wife and all my friends, and we're out eating and having a good time and out on jet skis and all that stuff, and you want me to come play a show and it's a weekend on top of that, I'm charging you 350 grand. But if I'm sitting at home playing Madden, eating chicken wings, doing nothing, and you want me to come play a show, I might take 50 grand. I'm never leaving that money on the table because it's better for me to get that money. He's like, and then he went on to sort of talk about, he's like, if you run a dry cleaning service and it costs you 25 cents to dry clean a shirt, and you charge $3 a shirt, but someone comes in with 100 shirts and they're like, hey, could you do it for 200? You're still making money. So why not take that? You see what I'm saying? So like, why not take that money? So again, you can sort of play with that profit metric. You don't have to like say, I only will sell things for 15%. If the liquidity is insane, it's okay to take a little bit less profit because you know it's going to sell through anyways, and you're not going to be stuck on it. So, all right, where are we at? Okay, so we talked about the sell-through rate. Okay, and then doubling down on that, when something sells through quickly, we replace it over and over and over and over again. If an item is showing you that it's selling through quickly and you're making a decent profit on it, you do not need to wait until you sell down to 0 to go and replace that item. If you're selling 5 a week and you only have 10, in 2 weeks, all of those items are gone. So you need to go out and buy enough for like a month, 2 months, 3 months. You need to replace that item over and over and over and over again. It's not sexy, it's boring, but that's what we need to do. We need to replace that item over and over and over again. McDonald's is never going to run out of Big Macs. You know what I'm saying? So you need to never run out of whatever Pikachu promo, whatever it is. And I'm sure there's cards or slabs or whatever that you've sold in the past that you're like, man, every single time I get this in, this sells instantly. So why don't you have 100 of those? You know what I'm saying? Like you need to double, triple, quadruple down on that. So
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And, that's kind of like was the motto and the MO going into this year. Like we went deep in specific cards and graded and even raw, like did good. There was always margin there. And I think, a lesson learned was, earlier this year buying a very large collection that ate up a bunch of our capital that was, all individual items, which don't get me wrong, it's like a good amount of net, even today per week, per month, but it's just a lot more work than buying 10, 20 items over again and grading them everywhere. So yeah, definitely. It's much less time consuming to sell the same thing over and over, even if it is 5% or 10% or whatever the percentage is. If the work going into it is add quantity 1 to a listing versus processing something brand new.
Yeah, exactly. And that is the trade-off, right? Everything is levers. It's like I kind of talked about it a little bit before my power went out on the last cardboard hands. But when you go on like Facebook or something, or you go on like these local like Craigslist or whatever, these local groups, what's the other one? OfferUp, like that kind of stuff. The kinds of people that are going to be on there want cash now. You're going to be able to find more deals, but it's going to take more of your time. You're going to have to go back and forth messaging them. Maybe you get a better deal ultimately, but like, let's say you make an extra 20% or something, but like how much time did you lose trying to get that? So if the main bottleneck is time, it's okay to take slightly less percent and only focus on the things that are super repeatable that don't take as much of your time. So like that's a lever that needs to be pulled. If you were like, out here retired or something and you didn't have a kid, you didn't have a wife, you didn't have a full-time job, yeah, sure, like maybe like go on Facebook and buy collections and stuff like that to sort of and trade your time for like extra net percentage so that you could sort of build up bankroll. But we're at a point now where like you have a pretty good job, the business is already kind of rocking and rolling, so we need to like double down, triple down on things that work. Even if we're taking like slightly less net overall, we're doing less work, so that is actually going to allow you to like do more net, do more revenue in the future, and continue to scale moving forward. So yeah, definitely something to think about. And then another thing I saw on the eBay when I sorted your items, and you kind of already mentioned this, like you've been listing like a lot of cheaper stuff, but 50% of your listed inventory is sub $4 right now. So, and when I went in and filtered by sold on your eBay, a lot of the stuff that you've sold recently is like higher end. Like I saw you sold like a PSA 10, like Blastoise art, unlimited. I think it was like base set pack. It was like $1,000. And a lot of the items that you've sold recently are like over $100. So those, like, this is super obvious, but like raising your average sales price is the easiest way to make more profit doing the same amount or less work. So I know you're kind of like free balling, and we'll get into it, but moving forward, no more cards under $3 unless it's like a freebie. So what I mean by a freebie is like McDonald's Pikachu, for instance, came with like a McDonald's Pikachu in every pack, and then it came with like a yeah, exactly, right. So those are freebies. It's like, why not have those listed? Because you already paid $15, $20 for the McDonald's Pikachu, so that's sunk cost. And then if you get literally anything for Sprigatito, Quaxly, Riolu, whatever, great. That's just like the icing on top. But if it's not that, we're not listing it, because here's what happens: you list a card for $2.99, 30-cent eBay fee up front, 74% label, or 74-cent label, excuse me, envelope, top loader, penny sleeve, business card, team bag.
Cost me 98 cents to ship item, plain white envelope. So $1.99 plus $1 shipping, that's like $1 on free cards. So
Yeah,
you're
like
processing and
there's
listing all these items for literally $1.
yeah, there's nothing left. There's literally nothing left
Yeah.
there. Like your time is worth so much more than that. You know what I mean? So we're not moving forward. We're not doing any of these like sub $3. I would even say maybe like not sub $5, unless again it's a freebie or it's like dummy liquid. Because there are those cards that you can like find in somebody's dollar binder that you can sell on eBay for $3.99, $4.99. And if you can list like 10 of those and they're gonna sell through quick because it's like a Pikachu, Charizard, Blastoise, Mewtwo, blah, 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 whatever, fine. But we're not going to go out and search for items like that because we want to raise our average sales price so that we're doing the same or less work, but we're making more money because time, we need to get our time back. You're a smart guy. Your time is valuable. We need to get you your time back and we need to make you more money. So no more cheap stuff moving forward. And also no more dust. Okay. So I went through, and it's not a ton. It's not a ton of your inventory.
I know what
but
you're talking about.
Yeah, you have some like Blizzard stuff. You have some, and look, dude, like I am the king of dust. I am the absolute king of dust. I used to do all that crazy stuff. You know, the vintage Dragon Ball Z stuff, the vintage Final Fantasy. Like yeah, exactly, dude. Like I did.
No one's buying it.
Yeah, the upper deck Blizzard stuff or whatever. Like, dude, trust me. Like I've been there. I get it. It's cool.
Yeah,
but
that was going like degen a year or two ago. So again, it's just like bulk from ripping open stuff at some point. That is, yeah, not part of growing a business. That's burning money.
Yeah, exactly. And again, like don't think that like I'm getting on you or whatever. I've made a lot of these mistakes. You know what I mean? So,
I thought you'd like those old Final Fantasy cards.
I love them. I love them. I think that they're cool. I think that they're really cool. I love Yoshitaka Amano. I got a bunch of that stuff. I'll probably never sell, but no more dust moving forward. What I would do right now, because I imagine again, like a lot of that stuff you were ripping for fun anyways, I would price everything that's non-Pokemon very aggressively as a buy it now or just auction it. If you auction it, it's niche, it's dust, it's probably going to go low and you're going to get kicked in the shorts and it's going to suck and it's not going to feel fun. But when you have items, and we'll talk about this a little bit later too, but when you have items on your eBay that are not selling, it's affecting the rest of the eBay. If you have a 1,000 item eBay and 50 of the items are just absolute dust and they're getting no listing or they're getting no views, they're getting no watchers, they're getting no offers, that stuff is signaling to eBay, hey, none of these items are selling and there's a good amount of it. Even if it's only 5% of your total listed inventory, it signals to eBay, hey, this store has a lot of stuff listed that no one wants. We're not going to put our advertising money, our advertising space into promoting this store because a lot of these items on here, no one's looking at. So maybe they're not interested in the rest of the stuff in the store. Even if the rest of the stuff in the store is good items, that's how eBay's algorithm works. So less items, better quality, it actually equals more money when we're talking about the eBay algorithm. And then obviously like don't restock. Like once the dust is gone, don't restock it. It's cool to collect it, but like don't list it on your eBay because you don't want to tank the business. If you want to collect it and have fun, I totally get it. I like all that stuff too. But yeah, we're not putting it on eBay because we don't want to affect the rest of our quality listings. So that was kind of an information dump so far. Is there like any questions or comments or anything before we keep going?
No, I think most of this like seems common knowledge. Like everyone knows like the basic principles of like how to grow and scale. Or I guess everyone doesn't. So it's helpful to share out there with others. And like a lot of what you see on eBay is like my mistakes. Like, why do I have a bunch of old reverse hollows from 4 years ago, part of a collection that were free? They've been sitting in a box. Why are we prioritizing listing those over going through higher dollar items and increasing our liquidity? So that's just like a prioritization thing. It doesn't make sense to list, you can list $200 worth of couple buck cards, or you can sell the things that are actually selling on your eBay, which are the higher end items. So yeah, kind of with the PSA slowdown, we have a lot out there. Not a ton of like doubles, but or triples, like some items that we have multiple of, but there are definitely stacks of cards that should be, you know, sorted and graded and moved that will kind of hit that metric and help with liquidity. So that's the big takeaway for me, is like that's a much better use of time than listing junk or dust on eBay.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, it sucks with turnaround times, but again, like you start submitting every 2 weeks, every month or whatever, and eventually when stuff starts coming back, it'll be staggered. It'll come back consistently, and you can kind of keep things rolling. But like the longer you sit on it, like, oh, the sub needs to be bigger. It's 30 cards. I'd like to get it to 50. Just get the 30 out. If you get another 20 in, great. Make another sub, but like get the 30 out. You know what I mean? And like keep it rocking and rolling, especially with like these 90-day turn times. All right. So here are some things that like are actual like action items that you can do like immediately when you get time. So one, like I noticed a lot of stuff. I went through like a good amount of your eBay last night. A lot of stuff needs to be repriced. So I would like go through and reprice stuff. Obviously, like, you know, price it off of like eBay. I would just match buy it now low list. If you have better quality pictures, like let's say a card is $6.99 or something like that, and that's like buy it now low list, but the picture is like super crappy, it's hella far away, there's half this dude's foot in the picture or something like that, and then the next one up is $7.99, maybe you do $7.49 or something like that. You don't need to always match low list, especially if the listing is crappy quality. If you click into it and they've got like 97% positive feedback, you don't need to match that listing, because buyers are going to pay like an extra 50%, 10%, whatever on the card to buy from somebody with 100% positive feedback, which you have, and you're a top rated seller. And eBay is also going to push those listings more. So you don't need to be like bottom feeding and competing with the people at the bottom, because usually those listings aren't good quality anyways. And having a quality listing, unlike TCG Player, is the most important, because things aren't filtered by only price, as we all know with eBay.
Do you mind if I pull my screen up real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Do I need to allow you to share? Can you pull it up?
I don't know. Let's see. So I was let me know when this pops up if you see it. So I was thinking like a lot of these items obviously are much higher than market price, even, you know, maybe because they were quote unquote collection or items that were priced a long time ago. So I think maybe, you know, sorting high to low to get the most, like, to optimize my time and look at what's the current market on the, you know, Magikarp triplet beat. Are there more PSA copies sitting in the, you know, in the stack? I think probably starting high to low and adjusting the prices makes sense. Don't you think? Is that how you go about it?
Yeah. I would say that that's definitely good. And we're going to talk about like potential strategies for like the cheaper stuff too, to sort of save you time. Cause like going through and like repricing or relisting 1,000 items might be kind of crazy. But yeah, I would definitely like go through and, or if like the item, like if you know it's going to sell, like even if it's only a $30 card, like if it's a $30 card, but you have it at 45, but you know, as soon as you price it at $29.99, it's going to sell. It takes you literally 2 seconds to change the price. If you don't have to change anything else on it and you just change the price and you know it's going to sell, just do it. You know what I mean? But like stuff that's like $2.99, don't drop it to like $2.89 just to get it to sell. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, a lot of the mid-range stuff is doing like pretty good for me. So things like, I don't know, reverse hollows, non-hollows of WotC stuff is moving, even if it is priced a little bit higher. You know, it's a little bit slower, but I would bet if I mark some of these cards down like $5-10, they would, you know, disappear.
Yeah. And I mean, if it's like a popular Pokemon or something like that, and you think it's going to move anyways, like don't mark it down. If you're like, you know, 50% above market or something egregious like that, that's one thing. But if it's like a top 20 Pokemon and you think it's going to move anyways, like fine, you know, don't adjust it. But if it's like not a top 20 Pokemon or something, and you're like, hey, if I drop this like 10%, it's going to move, like just do it. You know what I mean? And then don't replace that Pokemon again, like only buy top 20 Pokemon. So that's the first thing. Go through and reprice. Also, like I noticed a bunch of typos. I don't know if that's you or like the AI thing that you're using to list stuff, but like definitely go through and fix typos. So that's number 2. Number 3 would be like price things in increment of like 99. So like some of your stuff is like $52.99, and then some of it's like 55. Just do $54.99. Like symmetry is attractive. It looks more professional, and it's just one of those psychological things. When things are priced at like 99, it just looks better. Even when I send offers out, I always send offers in increments of like 99. So if I want 250, I send it out as like 249.99. It's a consumer thing. It works. It's just how the brain works. Even though 249.99 is the same thing as 250, psychologically it feels better to buy it at 249.99 than 250. So go through, reprice as much as possible. Even if the price doesn't need to be changed, like if the price is good as is, just change it to like 1 cent below so that it hits like the 99 or 0.99 thing. And then like some Pokemon, like I went through, and I don't know if it was a reverse holo or a holo or whatever, but one of the cards I remember seeing, it was like the wrong card. Like the title was like completely wrong. Like it was like a e-reader Moltres, but it was like listed as like Ho-Oh or something. Like it was completely the wrong card. So go through all the like, you know, typos, go through reprice, change that, and then like make sure like the listings are correct. You know, like that's pretty. And again, like I don't know if a lot of that, I imagine a lot of that is like the AI program that you're using. So and we're going to talk about that a little bit later too. And then I noticed like I think it was like a Rayquaza card or something. You had like 7 of them listed. I think it's like the one that comes from the Sea and Sky collection. You had like a bunch of them listed, but like one of them ends with like 1, one of them ends with 2, because you have multiple copies. Consolidate those all into like one listing and just put multiple quantity on the same listing. You don't need to have a bunch of different ones listed. And then when you do a quantity listing like that, where you have multiple of the same card listed, if they're all near mint, just put like picture in the description. Pictures or stock photos, you will receive a near mint copy. And even if a person's like, oh, this looks kind of light played, or this one's different than the one in the picture, you can say, hey, it's in the description. And even if they leave you bad feedback, you call eBay, and within 2 minutes, they're removing that feedback. If you show them, hey, I have it in my listing that like the pictures are stock photos, though. So you can use that to protect yourself. Okay, now we're gonna move into like sort of like more like the symmetry and stuff. So like for all your slabs, so like the Magikarp and stuff like that, like can you pull up your eBay really quick again?
Yeah, I know there's some that are either pre-scans or yeah, for some reason I couldn't get scans at the time. Let me pull this back up. This guy.
Yeah, so like that was just an example, but like you have other slabs that are just scans. So like just go to like your main eBay page really quick with like all your items. Like I just want to kind of like illustrate this. So like yeah, you scroll down, like even those first 2 listings, yeah, like see how like non-symmetrical that looks. Like everything needs to be a scan. Even if the scans suck, if there's like dust or like some crazy thing on the front or something like that, that you're like, all right, well, I can just use my own scanner because I don't want people to think the card's damaged. Fine, use your own scanner. But like all these need to be like the exact same picture. They should all be scans from the grading company. So like try to make everything look as symmetrical as possible. So I would definitely go through, and in the future, like just in general for slabs and for raw cards, no more light box pictures. That takes like a ton of time, and it's not efficient, and it doesn't look as good. Like the symmetry of like that bottom row, perfect. Like that right there, like those 8 cards, perfect. All you see is the card. There's no dead space. It looks perfect. It looks a lot more professional. So I would go through, and even if you don't need to reprice a card, I would go through and change the stuff to all scans. And what that's going to do, and we'll talk about this a little bit too, that's going to be a hit to the algorithm on that listing. So like I don't know what the price for the Triplet Beat Magikarp is right now, but like let's say that is priced at market. You could literally go through and just change the pictures on that to be PSA scans, and someone might buy that today, because that's going to be a hit like on the listing. Like that's going to be a hit to the algorithm is what I'm trying to say. Like anytime you edit a listing at all, whether it's like pictures, item specifics, price, quantity, whatever, that's a hit to the algorithm. So that's going to push your item up in search. So you definitely want to take the time to do that, especially if all it's going to take is for you to type the cert number in, get scans, and upload those. That could be the difference between making a sale and not making a sale. So I would definitely take the time to do that. Again, like you said, you could start with the more expensive items and work your way down, but that's definitely something that you're going to want to do. Give me like 5 seconds. I'll be right back.
Very good. I guess question for chat. Do you list on eBay or TCG Player, or are you all dust collectors like Retro? And do you have your spouse practice listing by posting Beanie Babies? Because that's
Do you have Beanie Babies on there?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was trying
yeah.
to help teach her how to list. So somewhere on here is Beanie Babies. Yep, we got a couple
Hell yeah.
of Beanie
Hell yeah.
Babies.
Okay. Okay.
You gotta learn to list somehow, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's good practice. Where is Josh when you need him? The key Beanie Baby fan. Okay, and
You
then
can get
another
a full
thing.
50% off.
Yeah. Okay, so then another thing, and like this is sort of like just like an overall thing you can apply. I guess just as like a mindset, but like bank your wins. So like I saw you had a pristine Jolteon from the Prismatic Evolutions surprise box. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I imagine you got that card out of a surprise box that you got for probably MSRP that you caught a drop on. You sold the packs. You bought the box for $20. You sold the pack. I think there's what, like 6 packs in there, 5 packs in there. You
Yeah, it
probably
was a
sold
freebie. It was a
yeah.
freebie.
So like you're already in the profit. Let's say there were 6 packs in there and you paid $20 and you sold the packs for $10 a pop, and you're in the profit $40. You've already like tripled your money, right? You're in this card for free. You probably graded it for $10 to $12, and you hit the pristine on top of it. I don't know what market is on this card, but like I imagine it's not 400. Maybe it is.
Yeah,
But
when I listed it, it was like brand new, and I don't think I had seen one sell yet. So that was like tells you how
okay.
long ago that was. So that's a good
Okay.
question. We can go
So
chat.
I like if you can't find one on or if you can't find like a sold one, or you can't find one listed on eBay, I would just price like at or around like a PSA 10 price. CGC is just like less liquid, but you might be able to get like a little bit of a pristine premium. So if like PSA 10 is like 200, maybe do like 219.99. But bottom line, like you're free rolling on this. So like in the future, and again, like I know you said none had sold, so you're trying to get as much as possible and you're
Let's
filling
do
out
it
the market
live.
and all that kind of stuff. But like we need to bank wins. Like when we have freebies like that where we hit an MSRP drop for $20, we sell the packs, we made it $40 net profit. Dude, if you take $200 for this or something, if you took $200 for this right now, you're like 20xing your money. You know what I'm saying? Like you're making so much money off of this. So like we need to bank wins and not let stuff like that sit, especially when we have so much profit already built into it. Because maybe at some point when these first came out, a PSA 10 was like 350 and you could have got 349.99 for this. But
Yep.
now that the market's come down because they've flooded the market with prismatic and stuff, and a ton of these boxes have been put out, maybe now you're only going to get $200. So you missed out on like $150 profit. So if we bank our wins up front and we don't get super greedy, look, if it's like a crystal Charizard or some crazy vintage stuff that's like hard to repeat, that's one thing. Sit on that, wait for the right buyer. But when it's something like repeatable, like modern, those cards were pretty good condition coming out of those boxes, surprisingly, even though they were English and stuff like that. And it's replaceable. Like we just turn it and burn it. We keep it going. We keep it going and we bank the win. So that's something that I would just like apply moving forward. Trying to squeeze every last dollar out of everything is not always like the best strategy. Like what one of the phrases like Tech says, he's like, I'd rather have some of the money all the time than all of the money some of the time. Some of the money all the time is sustainable, and that's compound interest, and it's actually going to outpace all of the money some of the time, right? So yeah, bank the wins. I kind of beat a dead horse there. Okay, where okay. And then another thing I wrote in was like change all your listings. And most of them are, but like change all your listings to free shipping. So just like bake that into the price. If it's $3.99 and you're charging $1 to ship, just mark it up to $4.99. Stuff with free shipping is going to get pushed so much harder on the algorithm. And again, if you change everything, and you should be able to
You can bulk
yeah,
up.
you can bulk edit. Like you could literally like click the drop down, action edit, bulk edit, and then change everything to have free shipping. So that could take you, like a minute or two to literally do that to every item in your store.
Yeah, so
So
right now I have it where anything under $20 that I list new goes to 99-cent listing shipping. And really the only place where that's kind of a need is on those $1.99 cards, since you need $3 out of them in order to be profitable. And we have been getting some sales that are like bulk orders where, they essentially get the shipping off. But to counter that, we can also just do the bulk offers another way where, if we bump the prices up to 2.99 on those items and then offer a larger multi-quantity discount, it's the same thing but maybe making eBay happier.
yeah. So exactly, and it's all about like how you frame it. So like if you could say like, okay, well, I need to hit a $3 to make any sort of profit on this item, so I need to include shipping. What you could do is raise the price, eliminate the shipping cost, and then it's how you frame it. So then you can frame it as like, because you're hoping that someone's going to come in and buy 5 cheap cards from you so that you can ship them all in a PWE and actually make something after shipping and fees and all that sort of stuff. But that's not a guarantee. Listing it at $3 at the very least is a guarantee. Then what you can do on top of it, and there's no bonus to the customer. The only bonus
Right.
there is to you. If they come in and buy 5 cards, they're not getting anything extra. You're getting something extra. If you raise the price and change it to free shipping and add a coupon for like, you could go through and filter, and you can set this all up on
Yep.
eBay's backend. And if you filter and you add a coupon and you say, okay, well, if you buy 3 or more items, you get 5% off. That's a bonus to the customer. So that incentivizes them to buy more, but you're actually making more money. See what I'm saying? So like
Right.
you win on both
Win-win.
ends,
Yeah, it's a
but then
win-win.
they feel like they're getting something more, right? So like it's all about how you frame stuff. Yeah, so that's really important. And then like a lot of it too, if it's like not selling and you're just listing it to like have stuff get listed, I would just start making lots and literally just like auction that stuff off to like get it out of your house. Like if it, especially if it's like never gonna sell through. And I mean, be realistic. I mean, if it's popular Pokemon and you think it's going to sell fairly quickly, that's one thing. Fine. Like it's already listed. It is what it is. But if it's like some boof Pokemon like Hoppip or Skiploom or something, like start pooling all that stuff into like, 20 card lots, 50 card lots, figure out what it's going to cost you to ship. Let's say it's going to cost you $4.99 to ship it across the country. Start it at like 99 cents, especially if you're already freeballing on this stuff. If it's going to cost you $5 to ship it across the country, charge $6.99 on shipping. You're
Yep.
already making something built in on shipping. Maybe they auction it for, $5-6 or whatever, but you already made a couple of bucks on shipping. You cleared all this stuff out of your inventory. You cleared all this stuff that isn't selling on your eBay, that's bringing your eBay store down because it's not selling and it's not ever going to sell. And at least you made something, because letting it sit there and not ever sell, one, it's not making you anything, and two, it's tanking your eBay in the algorithm on all of your good listings. So like waiting for stuff to sell, it's like, especially if we're freeballing on it, like just turn it and burn it. Like it doesn't feel good, right, to like take a loss or to just like get stuff out and only take like a few cents here and there, but it's overall better to do. And what happens when you like auction those cards, like you get a completed sale, you get a feedback, you get a hit to the algorithm, your eBay's cleaned up, your house is cleaned up, you're more organized, right? So like it's all these net positives. And then same thing with like grading misses. I know it sucks. We've all been there. Just start auctioning grading misses. Literally anything, like unless it's a PSA 9 that you think is going to sell, just auction it. Literally just auction it. Most of the time you're going to take a loss. Every once in a while you break even or make some money, but just auction that shit. Do not load your eBay up with a bunch of 9s and 8s and 7s. Run that on auction. And again, to give yourself a little bit of sort of like reprieve or whatever you want to call it, if it costs you $5 to ship a slab, charge $6.99. You made $2 on shipping. It gives you a little bit of a buffer. Maybe you're in the card for $25 and it only auctions for 20, but like it is what it is. It's out of your house. And again, like that stuff is just going to tank your eBay in the algorithm. It's like in a store, right? People pay for end caps. People pay premium, like brands will come in and pay a premium amount for an end cap. You have to think about eBay. If you go to an eBay front page for any card, how many listings are you seeing before you scroll down? 4. How many people are competing for those 4, right? So if your store has stuff in it that is not selling, even if it's not related to the good items that you have, eBay's like, well, we're not giving you the end cap because your other shit ain't selling. You know what I'm saying? So like the less stuff we can have on our eBay, the better. Like, we only want good items with insane sell-through that meet our metrics. So like, yeah, with grading misses, with all this like extra bulk and stuff, just auction it. Just get it out of the house,
Yeah.
get your money back, and re-roll. It doesn't feel good, but like the more you do it, like the quicker you rip the band-aid off, the better and easier it's going to be over time. And I get it. I used to hold on to everything. I felt like I had to break even on literally everything. I didn't want to take a loss. But as soon as I got out of that and just started re-rolling and trying again, if you're winning 70% of the time, it's okay to take losses on 30% of this stuff, because the wins are going to outpace the losses. So you getting your money back is more important than you breaking even on those losses. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. What I've done historically is like list everything, some of those misses, sell off, and then, you know, I've purged my store and shipped it off to a streamer. So I'm giving myself a lot of extra work, and, you know, not being able to re-roll that cash into something else. So it's essentially just sitting there on eBay until, you know, I reach out to someone to say, hey, go pick through my eBay store and I'll ship you off whatever. So definitely not above, not a, I don't have too much, I'm not above, you know, selling things at a loss. That's part of it. Like you said, if you buy 10 of one card and, you know, you have a couple grading misses and you lose a few bucks on reshipping it out, that's just the reality of thing. Net, it works out. And that's kind of what you're expecting. And, you know, when you buy those items in bulk, or buy a large collection, like you buy a large collection, not everything's going to be the condition you want. And, you know, you just have to take your losses on those items that, aren't profitable.
100%. And it's going to hurt. Let's say like a PSA 9 of a certain card is like, market is like 30 to 40 bucks, and you auction one and someone gets it for like 25 or something before shipping. It's going to suck to you, but that person on the other end of it might feel like they just got a deal from you. Then they save your store. And now you have more people potentially watching your auctions in the future. So now potentially the floor on your auctions have been raised, and maybe you ship the item out, it's well protected, you have a business card, they like you, it got to them quick or whatever, and they're like, I like this guy. So then they go buy some cards from your store at full market price. You know what I mean? Like, so these sorts of like intangibles, it's not something you can put into a spreadsheet, but it all sort of like compounds over time. And I've had people win auctions that will also say, oh, well, I already bought from this store. And eBay's going to do a lot of that work too, right? eBay's going to say like, hey, here's some other items from this store. Hey, like, continue shopping here. They're going to click into your store and say like, oh, okay, well, you know, I want that Blastoise card. So, and I already won this auction and I'm already paying for shipping anyways, and it's free shipping on this Blastoise card. Why don't I buy the Blastoise card too? So then that loss that you took feels a little less, or it hurts a little less, because you would have paid shipping on the Blastoise card anyways, but you're already making money on the shipping over here because of how you price it on the auction. So now you're shipping the Blastoise card in with the slab that you took a little bit of the L on for free. So that sort of like buffers that a little bit. You see, so again, like, you can't put this sort of stuff into a spreadsheet. It's more intangible, sort of like Ouija woo-woo, but it happens. It happens. Like, it 100% happens. I've definitely had it happen before. Okay, and then moving into raw, similar to what I was saying with the graded. Only use scans moving forward. There's no more Lightbox. Like, everything needs to look the exact same, so that when they go to your eBay, all they're seeing is the card, and every single card looks the exact same. We don't like one zoomed in, one way far out, one's a scan, one's a Lightbox picture. Like, not only that, but it takes so much time to take those Lightbox pictures. I know, because I used to do it, setting it up perfectly, making sure it's centered, making sure the little easel is like exactly set up so that the car is folded and you can see
falls
the hollow.
Over.
Like, yeah,
the easel
exactly.
falls over.
Yeah, it falls. Yeah, it falls over. Like, exactly, dude. Like, I've been there, done that. No more Lightbox pictures. You got a good scanner. It's really good quality. A lot of the stuff that you've done with the scanner looks really nice. So just stick with that moving forward. If it's more expensive, if it's a more expensive card, literally all you need to do, like, people will put like 6 pictures up. You don't need that. What I use, like, I literally cut this when I stopped using my Lightbox. I cut this plastic. This used to be part of the Lightbox. I cut this out. It's a flat piece of plastic. I put the card on the flat black piece of plastic. You can use a binder, whatever the case. You just want a black background, so it's going to show the edges and stuff. Front picture, flip it over, back picture. That's it. That's all you need. That's all you need. As long as it's a black background, so that people can see the edges, if there's any whitening, that sort of stuff. That's all you need. You don't need to take a picture of every corner. It's a waste of time. I know eBay's going to be like, oh, buyers like more pictures and all that kind of, but you don't need it. You just need a clear front picture, a clear back picture, as close up as possible. And even if you're taking it with your phone, you can crop it on the phone, so that like when it's going in, it's like still as zoomed in on the card as a scan, so that it's not like way far zoomed out. But that's all you need is a front picture and a back picture. And the only time I would be taking pictures manually is if it's a more expensive card. So do you want me to share your eBay really quick?
Yeah, so right now, like we are scanning everything. Prior to probably the last few months, we were doing Lightbox, and really the only ones I've gone back and done light boxes for are on cards that have like damage that I wanted to show. I think like there's a hole through that thing, but to your point, can cut up that little piece of the backdrop, put it next to the scanner we have here rather than going to the light box. And if there's something that really needs to be shown, you can like take a picture of just that, just that defect. But yeah, more likely just don't buy a huge ass collection that has damaged item in it. So you have to do this. Like, kind of keep that in the past.
100%. Well, and even on that one, you had like 6 pictures of the back. Like you only need one picture, solid picture of the back. You can see all the whitening. You can see most of the damage. Unless there's like a dent that you can only see in certain lighting, you only need one front and one back picture. People tend to do like way more work than they need to do. Okay, so
that was listed back in June.
Yeah, so that's another thing too, is like that's a pretty good card. Like that's a nice card. It is a little more, it's a little more niche, but like maybe delete all those pictures and just take like one really good solid zoomed in front picture, back picture, adjust the pricing if you need to, make sure it's like correctly conditioned and all that sort of stuff. And maybe that gets a sale, because again, like anytime you edit a listing, it's getting refreshed in the algorithm. And that can mean the difference between like making a sale and not making. I'll give you a perfect example. I had two of a slab the other day, and I was in for cheap, and the market had moved up significantly on that card. And I don't ever do best offers. I usually don't accept offers. Like it just is what it is. Like I am a super I'm very, very particular about only selling things with good sell-through rate and pricing stuff competitively. So like I don't ever need to take offers. But again, I had 2 of these cards. It had already moved up, and the card had been sitting for a while. And the card was like $250, and the guy offered like $235. So it wasn't like a super egregious discount or anything like that. And he was nice about it. So I was like, cool, because I knew what was going to happen, which is, okay, well, I have 2 of this card. So as soon as this one sells through and I list the next one, it's going to be refreshed in the algorithm. So this card had been sitting for 2 months. I sold the one. I had it listed for $250. I took the offer for $235. I listed the next one. It sold that same day for $250. So like getting these algorithm refreshes are literally an insane hack. And all it can be, like I said, it could be changing the price, it could be changing the pictures, it could be accepting an offer just to get one sold. And I've done that before, where like I've made like 10% on something just so that I can refresh the listing, because I know it's already priced competitively. I just know that eBay isn't pushing it, and as soon as one sells, that listing is going to be refreshed, and so it's going to push those. So I would go, especially like that card's like $250. So if market is like 200 on it or something, I mean, that's a $200 card. Like that's not a cheap card. So if you go through and all you have to do is delete all those photos and take one front and one back picture, that could be the difference between a $250 sale or that card continuing to sit on your store. So like the time invested for what you get out of it, like it seems like, oh, this is just like, busy work or whatever, but it really, really matters. And the more you can get eBay's algorithm on your side, that's how you outsell. That's how you sell above market. That's why like I've sold stuff for more than like a lot of these eBays that are bigger than me that have the same card. Like I've sold stuff for like 20% more than James, because the listing is better quality, because James is doing like such insane volume, you know what I mean? And I can take a little bit more of my time to like make sure that the listing is better quality. So if you can get the algorithm on your side, you can actually sell things above market and give yourself more of a buffer on like that on the profit percentage. So all this sort of stuff that is like, oh man, that's going to suck to do. Like, I promise you, you do this stuff, your eBay is going to start cooking. It might take like a few days or a week or something to really start rolling. But once you start making these edits, you start changing the pictures, you start making sure that everything's titled correctly, all that sort of stuff it's just all these things are hits to the algorithm, and eBay is going to start sending a ton of traffic your way. Then things are going to start selling. And when things sell through and you package them and ship them quickly and they get delivered to the buyer quickly and they leave positive feedback, that's a hit to the algorithm. And that's going to tell eBay, hey, this store is making us money. We're going to continue to push it more. So then they're going to push your stuff even harder and you're going to continue to make more and more money. So like it's all compounding. It's all getting the algorithm to work in your favor. It's not about having the cheapest price. It's about having like the best quality listing and doing the things that's going to win the algorithm over to your favor. Okay, so yeah, we talked about like one picture for the front. Okay, here's the other thing too. Pick one title structure and stick with it. Don't have like 25 different title structures. The only difference that should be between like a raw card that you have listed and a PSA card or a CGC card or whatever is literally like the first two words, which are PSA 10. Everything after that should be the exact same. And every single time you list a card, it should have the exact same title structure with the exact same item specifics in the exact same order every single time. And once you settle on that structure, you don't deviate from it and you do it the exact same every single time. And what that's going to do is not only provide like the uniformity to your store, but then when you go to list the item on eBay, eBay's AI has gotten a lot better at picking up item specifics. So now when you use that same title structure across all your listings, when you go into the listing, right under where you put in the title, eBay's AI is going to pop up all these item specifics, and they're just going to be boxes that you can check. And it might pop up like 20 boxes that you can check. Maybe only half of them are correct. Sometimes it'll say like, oh, this is a VMAX card when it isn't or something like that. But most of the time, and it's gotten to the point now where it can like even identify the illustrator and stuff like that. But every single box that's correct, HP, franchise, name of card, set that it came from, specialty, finish, all that stuff, everything that matches what the card is, you just click those boxes. And literally in 5 seconds, you have like 12 item specifics filled in. But that all comes from making sure that your title structure is set up correctly. So use that, pick the title structure that you want to go with and change all of your listings to have that exact same structure. And then when you do like a PSA card or whatever, again, just put like PSA 10 and then this same exact title structure that you would if the card was raw. And if you're going to list a card as a PSA 10 that you already have listed raw or that you've listed raw in the past, go back to that listing, literally just copy the title, go in PSA 10 and just pop that title structure in. And just do that same thing over and over and over. And that, again, that uniformity it's such a hack. It's such a hack. Don't also with raw cards, do not put the condition in the title because that can only be a potential turnoff to people. If someone's going to look for a card and you say, you know, like the what was that, like Charizard reverse holo from, you know, what, Expedition or something like that.
Yeah, if it doesn't say and it's in the listing, they're at least gonna click on it where you're gonna get the views of the pictures front and back. So it will only
100%
turn people off
100%.
from getting, you know, at least looking at the item, which you know is good from an eBay perspective.
Well, not only that, but it might be the difference between you making a sale and not making a sale. Like you might list the card as heavy played, but in their mind, heavy played means like, oh, the card's creased, like it's completely destroyed. But if they saw the front of the picture on eBay when searching for, you know, Charizard reverse holo Expedition, whatever, and your listing pops up and they click into it, if you wrote heavy play in the title and they already have this preconceived idea of like what heavy play is, they're like, oh, well, I don't want a heavy play card. But if you don't and they click into it and they look at it and they're like, that's actually not that bad. It's listed as heavy play and it's priced as heavy play, but I'd rather pay that than like pay double the price for a light play card and it's going in the binder anyways and it actually doesn't look that bad. So like you actually might earn a sale because a lot of the time, especially people that are like deep down the rabbit holes, like we tend to be a little more strict, which is better. Like it's better to err on the side of caution. Like don't try to get greedy. Like if a card's light played, list it as light played. Don't be like, I could pass this near mint. Like it's better to list it as light played. But a lot of the time, people have less strict less strict ideas of what they need the card to look like. So yeah, never put the condition in the title. Just make sure that the listing is, and again, like eBay initially, when someone searches for the card, is not going to filter by condition. Like it's not going to only show near mint copies. It's going to show all the copies, and it's going to show the copies that have the most algorithm push behind them. So even if someone wants a near mint copy or something, if they see all these other near mint copies are like $700, and they're like, well, I'm going to put this in the binder anyway. So if I can buy it from Dan for $250, I'm going to do that. You know what I mean? And the only way they would have found that is if, like, you know, your listing popped up or whatever, because most people aren't filtering by near mint. It's actually kind of a pain. You have to like go all the way down on the left side and click like more options to even get to filter a lot of the time for near mint anyway. So yeah, don't put the condition in the title. Okay, and then also in your titles, take out the words like card and gem mint. No one is searching for those, and those are just like wasted space. There's other item specifics that you can use, like the name of the set, the card number, the year, whatever. Like you don't ever need to put those in the title. Pristine is okay. So like if you're listing a regular like CGC gem mint 10, just, you know, CGC 10 Pikachu, whatever. If it's, you know, and then if it's pristine, CGC 10 pristine, like that's okay. But like for PSA 10, you don't need to write like PSA 10 gem mint. And one thing I learned a long time ago, I was actually like on an eBay seller summit, and they talked about how the algorithm picks up the first 6 words. The first 6 words in the title are the most important. So
which gem mint doesn't mean anything when you
exactly
can say PSA 10 Magikarp. You know, I've always included Pokemon card in every listing, not just
you can write Pokemon,
and I do Japanese Pokemon card if it's Japanese, but
yeah. So
that may not be necessary.
That's totally fine. The Pokemon part is fine. Japanese Pokemon, I do that too, but like card is just, it's just like wasted space. And like sometimes like it can kind of throw things off a little bit. Like eBay's algo will sometimes pick up on it in a weird way. So yeah, you don't need to include that in the titles. So yeah, like I kind of already mentioned this, but like all the slabs looking the same and the raw listings looking the same, this will make like your eBay look cleaner and a lot more professional. And all of these edits that we've talked about will be, you know, massive algorithm hits. And then going back to the beginning, you have like this big death pile. Maybe some of it's trash, maybe some of it's good stuff. Regardless, listing in general, and even if that means a lot of the stuff that's out here in the backlog is like, you know, stuff that you're freeballing on, that's cheap stuff anyways. Even if listing means like making auction lots out of that stuff, listing in general, again, algorithm hit, like getting new listings up on eBay, getting new auctions going, like all that's going to do is push your store more. So all this stuff together is going to turn into this big snowball. And then again, like past this, you know, like getting subs back and making sure that you're only buying good items. Like it's all about consistency, right? And that's why like a lot of the time, like I tell people that have smaller eBays that maybe don't have the algorithm behind them yet, if you have 50 items to list, maybe list 10 items a day, or you can list all 50 items in the same day, but schedule them to only have 10 going live every day so that you're getting more of a consistent algorithm hit to your eBay. The bigger you get, the more you start selling items and all that stuff. Eventually that's not going to matter, but like eBay wants to see consistency. They want to see stores that are going to provide them with sustained business. If you're making them money, they're going to make you money. So they want to see businesses that are sustainable. They don't want to see somebody that uploads everything all at once, because that signals to eBay that you're running a garage sale, which means you're going to sell a bunch of stuff one time and then you're out of here. They're not going to push that, because that's not their, like, there's no incentive for them to push that. They want to push somebody that's going to make them money for a month, 6 months, a year, 2 years, right? So being able to like space things out. So like if you go through your backlog and you're like, okay, well, there's 500 cards here that, you know, we could break up into 50 card. Maybe you do like all fire Pokemon, all water Pokemon, or whatever, or like all e-readers, all sun and moon, whatever it is, like however you decide to like break up the auctions. Let's say there's 500 cards and you break them into 10 50 card lots. Have one go live every day, so that you, instead of having them all go live the same day, like have one go live, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? So it's a consistent thing hitting eBay's algorithm, and it's telling eBay, hey, I've got more stuff to sell. I've got more stuff to sell, and I'm going to keep listing stuff. Eventually, when you get like a bunch of subs coming back and things are selling through quickly, you have a good sell-through rate on eBay, that is going to be enough to tell eBay, hey, we need to keep pushing this guy. But getting to that point requires that sustainability, which means like consistent listing, consistent auctions, consistent new things going up on eBay. Okay, and then one of the things that I mean, this is less of like a direct like actionable item, but like it's just sort of something to think about. Like right now, the eBay seems kind of like scattered a little bit. Like you have a lot of like random different stuff. Like there's no real brand, I guess, if that makes sense. It's not like if I was somebody, if this was like a storefront, there's like stuff is kind of like all over the place. Like it's more like a thrift store than like I know what to expect from this guy, if that makes sense. So like try to find a lane that you really enjoy or that you feel like you have an edge in, and kind of like double and triple down on that, because that's going to help curate a customer base, and that's going to sort of like curate your brand. And then the people that are coming to your store on eBay, because you have followers and people can choose to save you as a seller on eBay, but people are going to be more likely to save you as a seller on eBay if they know what to expect from you. Like I'm kind of stealing this like from Brandon Martin when he was talking about content, but he's like, you know, to be a successful content creator, you want to make like, you want to have these repeatable formats, because if an audience member comes in and watches your video and you're doing like top 5, you know, modern chase cards to invest in for the month of December, and then, you know, 2 days later, you're uploading like a food review video. It's like someone going into a restaurant, getting something they liked, and then coming back 2 days later. And it's like, okay, well, I got this burger from you 2 days ago. I'm back for another burger. And they're like, no, we're a sushi restaurant now. You know what I mean? Like you want to keep, like people want the burgers and you want to curate customers that like burgers, keep serving burgers. You know what I mean? So like find whatever it is that you feel like you have an edge in, whatever's like easiest for you to source. Maybe that's like locally, maybe that's like with card shops, whatever the case may be, and just sort of like curate your brand so that people like sort of know what to expect from you. I sell like English cards, but most people know me as like the Japanese guy. And so, you know, when you go to my page, like you're probably going to find like Japanese promos. You're probably going to find graded Japanese chase cards. You're probably going to find Japanese boxes. So people know what to expect from me. And then there's things on the back end that you can do in eBay with like creating campaigns and like newsletters and stuff, so that when you list new items, those are going out to people that have saved you as a seller, so they can see like, oh, Dan just listed like I'm already buying e-reader cards from Dan, or I'm already buying you know, sealed promos from Dan, or whatever it is. Dan just listed like 20 new items, and oh, there's like 3 more promos that he just listed. Maybe I'm going to go check those out because I'm a promo collector or whatever, right? So like curating that customer base provides like return customers and curates your brand so that people like know what to expect from you. So I know that's more like or less tangible rather, but it's really important for sure. So like that, it's definitely something to think about moving forward. All right. Another information dump. Is there any like questions, comments, anything like that?
No questions really. You know, I think there's a whole bunch of cleanup we can do. Yeah, give the eBay store a better face. You know, I think we kind of have the lanes of like you said, like getting rid of a whole bunch of freebies, or like you brought up sealed promos. That'd be a great thing to go and prioritize listing, because there's liquidity there. So yeah, I think just, you know, kind of looking at the store, one thing I've done in the past and I just started doing was kind of having those categories in the store. So if we are going to list the cheaper stuff, at least it's compartmentalized in a way where, you know, historically, you know, the store looked more like, you know, graded and, you know, basically the, you know, $20 and up cards that came through, you know, which kind of left us with a whole bunch of cheaper stuff. So I think an easy way to split that up is just, you know, the cheaper stuff go to TCG Player. If we want to spend our time listing there at all, you know, it's been a good secondary revenue stream. So there's room there, but that would help kind of, give a facelift to the store. And, you know, I know there is more we could do around socials and things like that, but from a, you know, priority perspective, it's like, let's continue to, you know, focus on the eBay store. That's where we've found success historically. And yeah, maybe the answer is this. Yeah, remove anything or yeah, like you said, 99-cent auction anything that's under a certain dollar amount over a period of time. And um, yeah, I like the suggestion of like going back through and cleaning up titles, uh, cleaning up pictures of, you know, the things that are worth getting out of a light box into a scan.
Yeah, 100%. And like rather than like spend money or time like trying to promote yourself on like social media or anything like that, eBay will do the work
Right.
of that. Like eBay is going to do that. Like if you're making good quality listings, if you're listing good quality items that have good liquidity, good visibility, eBay is going to do all that for you. I've never paid to promote any of my eBay, like at all. Like I don't pay at all. I don't even go above 2% promoted. I just only sell good stuff, and eBay does all the work. So that's what I'm like. The algorithm, like I remember back in the day, Dan was like, like I promote this Charizard at like 10%, this one at 15%, and I raise the price, and like that can work, but you can get that same effect still promoting at 2% and just having a higher sell-through rate and making a better quality listing. And so that all comes with like this stuff that sounds like busy work, and it kind of is, but if you do it right the first time, then you don't have to go back through and make edits, which kind of goes into the next thing I want to talk about. Like I would just completely ditch the listing software, to be completely honest, because if you were doing a business model that was like, DC Sports or one of these consigners that lists like literally thousands of like 99-cent sports cards, that'd be one thing. Automate that. It's not optimized, like the listings aren't perfect, but at least you're getting them up. Moving forward, we're shifting out of that. We're aiming for a higher ASP, average sold price, less work, less time, more money. So using the auto lister actually, like, especially if it's making mistakes, which it seems like it is, it's actually making more time for you. And when I was like, he sent me a video sort of like showing him like going through and using it. It actually seems like that takes the same amount or more time than just making a listing from a good quality listing from scratch on eBay. And the good quality listing that has your same title structure, that has the item specifics filled in, that's titled correctly, has the good pictures, is priced well, all that sort of stuff is actually like that's going to go a lot further. So I would almost like completely just ditch that. And so like if you have, and there's different things you can do. So like you can create templates in eBay. So like you could do like a raw card template. So like for instance, like all the envelopes that I ship, like the PWEs that I ship raw cards in. So like everything that's sub $20, I know to set my like shipping size or whatever to 7 by 4 by 1 ounce, and then eBay standard envelope. So you can pre-make that template and title it like raw cards under $20, so that like you already have some stuff filled in and you're saving some time there, and then continually sell off that template. Same thing with like graded cards. You can do the same exact thing. Like, for me, it's like 8 by 5 by 2, 4 ounces, and just do that like over and over and over to save yourself some time there. But like making a quality listing the first time is the most important thing. So even if it takes you like a couple more seconds than using the auto lister, it's worth your time. And again, if we're not selling cheap items, if we're only selling more expensive items that have a bigger net profit built in, it's okay for us to take an extra like 5 seconds, 10 seconds per card, because it's worth our time, and it's gonna end up selling through quicker, and we're not gonna have to go back and correct mistakes because we did it right the first time. So and then there's other things you can do. Like if you're listing a bunch of stuff from Crown Zenith or something like that, sort it all, right? Like sort it all.
Yeah,
and then
sell similar together. Yeah, so all your title structure is the same except for swapping out the number.
Exactly. All you have to change is like Pikachu to Latios, or and then so literally all you're changing is the Pokemon name and the card number, and that's it. Everything else about the title is the exact same. And you can do, and when you create, or when you make the listing and it'll say like your item is live, then you just copy the title of the thing right from there and click create new listing, and then pop that title in, change what you need to change, and you're already in there. So like that can really like shave off some time there. So there's like different things you can do to like save your time. But yeah, and again, like if you're using that good title structure, eBay's AI is going to pull so many of those item descriptions for you that you're not going to have to go through and manually like click through the drop downs or type anything in. You just click boxes. Like you can literally do a quality listing if everything is like pre-set up, like you can literally make a quality listing in like 30 seconds. So
yeah,
like
so since we talked last, so I guess for the chat, what I was using was Card Dealer Pro to list like kind of cheaper items. Basically, would scan and would push it through Card Dealer Pro, but that's primarily like baseball cards and Pokemon's like secondary. Nico in Discord, and I think Pokemon Stevens partnered with them to build an uploader app. And if you check out some of these newer listings in the store, it does a really good job finding all the card details. So I think if you were to look at some of the cards I've listed over the last couple of days, and there, like, you can set your title structure exactly how you want. Like, you could not have card in there. You can bump in reverse hollow, but like, these, this is pretty well filled out, and it's not perfect every time, but like the ability to quickly shift between one card or another makes much more sense for Pokemon. So should I ever be listing I don't even know how to pronounce this Pokemon? The answer is no. But scanning 50, 100 cards and getting decent, like, this all looks pretty accurate, unlike probably if you look at my listings from using Card Dealer Pro.
For sure.
Yeah, like, it all depends on what you're listing, right? For like bulkier stuff like this, no way listing one at a time, which long term I think the plan is to focus on those higher dollar items. But
100%. So
like get this stuff out the door as a bulk listing and pull the Bulbasaur and list it because it's a Bulbasaur.
Yeah, exactly. Like the rest of the stuff, it's like, again, like, let's not just like list it. Yeah, like, let's not like list it just to have it listed. Like a Shinx Hollow from Battle Styles, probably never gonna sell. Maybe it does, maybe it does. But like, you know how it is 100% gonna sell if you bundle that up with like 49 other lightning type Pokemon and auction it off in a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, like what?
And you can see from like, okay, there's 12 sold and there's probably hundreds listed.
Yeah, exactly. So that's got like who even knows what, like a 3% sell through rate or something like that.
Yeah. So, and luckily again, these old binders are like, you can tell they're all like getting pulled by set. Like, these are just old binders from collection. So that's really easy just to throw them all together, use the light box, take a photo, and get them out the door.
Yeah, 100%. So, and like, to be fair, like, Pokemon Steven does this full time, and I think his wife does it full time too. Yep. And she manages the rock hard store, and that rock hard store is like printing, right? So him having some random black and white Pokemon or something in like light play, it works for him because like that's the business model. He's running a rock hard store. You have a wife, a kid, and a full-time job. So like, you don't have time to be listing a bunch of like $2.99
to list the Jamango.
Yeah, that's a no-go. That's a no-go. You know what I'm saying? Like, just and you're free balling on it anyways, right? Like, you're free balling on it anyways. Like, you can make the money on the Pikachus, the Squirtles, the Charmanders, the Bulbasaurs, and all that stuff. You know that stuff's gonna sell through. So just take whatever on the rest of the stuff, get it out of your house, out of sight, out of mind, and you're getting a guaranteed sale, and you're gonna make something on shipping anyways. Like, that card's $199, even if it has $1 shipping built into it, you're making literal cents after like everything is factored in. So like, who cares? You know what I'm saying?
Like, a lot of work for a buck.
Yeah, it's a lot of work for that. So, and moving forward, kind of like we talked about earlier, don't set yourself up to where you get into that position, right? To where you have like 500 cards that you need to like use the AI lister for, which are like maybe slightly lower quality listings because the card aren't as good as quality and they're not making you as much. Because again, all that's going to do is tank the rest of your eBay. Even if the rest of your eBay is good, saucy items, it doesn't matter because you've got like all this trash listed. And so like, a lot of people get into that too, because they're like, especially like smaller stores, because they're trying to get the consistency going with eBay. And they're like, well, I don't have anything else to list. So then they start listing junk. And like, that's the exact wrong thing to do. Like, we don't want to be listing junk just to get stuff listed. And then like, so I looked at your TCG player too. So I guess like, moving on. Oh, and then like, last thing on eBay, you sent me a video of like you doing fulfillment. It seems fine. Like, your desk is pretty much right next to where like where all your stuff is situated, which is great, right? So you're not doing like a bunch of like walking back and forth with eBay. I don't know if you already do this, but like you can have the eBay open on your phone and have like all this stuff that you need, and like literally just make one trip over there, go by each item, pull everything at once, grab it, and then go back. So you're literally only sitting there shipping items. You don't have to go like item by item. So that's usually what I do, is like I'll pull my phone, go over to where the inventory is, and just like go through one by one, pull everything, bring it over to my desk, and then ship everything at once. And then what was like, oh, and then like organization wise, so like I saw that you mentioned that like you sort things or have your wife sort by like set symbol. It's another thing where it's like it's doing too much work, and it's like causing you to do too much work, because the only way that that's going to make sense is either if you memorize all the sets, which there are like hundreds in both languages. So like we're talking like 200 plus sets, or you're doing a custom SKU for every single card. And the only cards you would need to do that for are the cheaper ones anyways. So you're making all this extra work for yourself. What I do personally, I just sort everything alphabetically. There's only 26 letters in the alphabet. It doesn't matter if this card's from Expedition and this one's for like, I don't know where half the sets that the cards come from. It doesn't matter. If it's a Flareon, I go to F. That's it. You know what I'm saying? 26 letters in the alphabet. There's never going to be more. There's never going to be less. There's only going to be more sets in Pokemon. And you have to memorize, oh, that's that set. That's that set. And a lot of the set symbols look the same. It's making more work for yourself. All you have to do is look at the first letter of the Pokemon, F, G, you know, whatever. Like I sort everything alphabetically, all the raw cards, and it doesn't matter like condition. If you had thousands, tens of thousands of cards, that's a different story. Then yeah, maybe do like a SKU system or something like that. But at your scale, and even at like my scale, like alphabetical is fine. I never understood why people did stuff by set or by year or whatever. That's extra work. Like all you need to know is the first letter of the Pokemon name, and then you just go pull it. It's so much quicker. It's so much easier. And your wife doesn't have to memorize all these like crazy set names. She just needs to look at the first letter of the Pokemon name and put it in the corresponding letter. So that's what I would do for organization. But other than that, like your shipping processes seem pretty like optimized. Like it seems pretty intuitive, right? Like you're not doing a bunch of extra crazy stuff like a lot of these TCG player sellers are. It just needs to be like in a sleeve, in a top loader. I use like blue painter's tape or whatever. You can use a team bag. It doesn't matter. That's all you need. Like that's it. But pull everything at once, alphabetize everything so that you don't have to memorize stuff or SKU anything. So that's what I would do with that. And then when I looked at your TCG player, I saw that like most of the stuff you have listed on there is also like super cheap. So that goes back to like people have to bundle stuff for you to make sense. TCG player's backend also sucks because you have to go to a third-party shipper. You either have to use Pirate Ship, excuse me, or Orange Mailer if it's a PWE. So that's extra steps, extra time. So I just kind of like wrote this down, but like if stuff is selling through on TCG Player, fine. And again, it's not algo based like it is with eBay. So like you can afford to sort of like leave that stuff listed. But if it were me personally, I would go through and anything that you don't think is going to sell on TCG Player, just like pull it down and then just make those auction lots on eBay. Only leave the stuff on TCG Player that like for whatever reason you think needs to be sold on TCG Player. But moving forward, I would transition to 100% eBay. TCG Player sucks ass. Like it's not good. Like it's not a good, and most of the time stuff sells for a discount on TCG Player, and TCG Player has higher fees, and you're playing this race to the bottom game to get your thing. You have to match the lowest list for people to even, because no one's going to scroll down and buy from Danazard unless they just think you're a cool guy and they're going to try to, you know, buy from you
until you start selling bundles. So most of the orders on TCG Player are, you know, 1, 5, 10, 20 cards. So like it is mostly lower end stuff. Again, it's freebies from just old collections, or if I like ripped a box a couple years ago, whatever. But yeah, most of it is like cheaper Vs or like just random stuff. So again, those are things that were already set, organized in from collections that were sitting in old binders that you know, it's basically just a way to you know, have some other income coming in from these items, because you don't have to list each item individually. And unlike eBay, like it's eBay, you're much less likely to get like people buying multiple items at the same time. So like, I don't, if I sell, like looking at this order from today, I sold like 5 items for 99 cents each and I get 427. It's like 327 or whatever after my cost. So like, is that optimal? No. Do I want to be buying stuff like that? No. But to get the things out of here, it's pretty efficient to you know, pull and list that item doing, I don't know, $50 to $100 worth of orders in a day in like 15 minutes. Yeah, probably not the best
Yeah.
use of time, which it all comes back down to. Like, I'm shipping before work and after work, and but it is something that's easy to operationalize and, you know, offload to my spouse.
Yeah, yeah. If the stuff's already on there, if it's already listed, like fine. But like I would not be adding. And again, like a lot of this is like how you front load it. So like if you don't buy collections or you don't do things where you need to like list all this stuff or monetize all this like cheap junk, then you don't need to like rationalize the fact of like, oh well, if I listed on TCG Player, because it's like, all right, well maybe you sold like $50 worth or something like that, and maybe you netted like $20 or something like that, you could sell one good graded card and make $75. And how long does it take you to package one good graded card? A minute. You know what I'm saying? So like you could spend 15 minutes to make $20 and do all this work and pull all these cards and all that stuff to like squeeze everything out of like this stuff that you're in for free, admittedly. But that's what I'm saying is like the time trade-off. And then you have to go to a third-party website. So you have to go to Orange Mailer or whatever to print the PWE label. And then you have to copy, you know, the name and the address into that, print the PWE label, go, and then mark it as shipped. Like the back end on TCG Player just sucks. Like it's not great. I get that it makes sense for like stores that do a bunch of singles and stuff like that and are like selling playable singles. And like you said, people are a lot more likely to like optimize their cart and buy a ton, because if you're already charging shipping anyways and they're buying a bunch of stuff for their deck or their master set or whatever, they're like, okay, well, let me see if this store has other stuff built in. But again, you can do that on eBay with coupons. You can do that same thing on eBay with coupons, and everything's already built in. But if you don't put yourself in a position where you have to list all this cheap stuff, you won't need to use TCG Player. Again, if it's already on there and stuff is selling through, great. It's passive income. You don't necessarily need to take it down. But personally, moving forward, to save yourself time, to make yourself more money, I would move your business like 100% to eBay. Like I never use TCG Player. Like there's no point. Like it's not worth your time at all. Like you can do so much more with so much less time. If they change the back end, like it's crazy that eBay bought them 2 years ago and they still don't have built-in shipping. But like even that just takes so much time. And people are like more finicky and like difficult to deal with on TCG Player. TCG Player has like less seller protection. Like there's so many reasons why like it just, yeah. And even if you do get like a PWE from Orange Mailer or whatever, there's no tracking. eBay, at least like there's tracking. I can't tell you, like especially over the past year with like all these new people coming into the hobby buying cheap cards, I can't tell you how many times people have opened like disputes saying like, hey, I never got these cards. Maybe they genuinely didn't, but chances are if it's like a 12 feedback buyer or something like that, maybe they're trying to get one over on me. But guess what? It shows delivered. eBay sides with you 100% of the time. TCG Player does not. If the buyer says they didn't get their cards, you're eating it.
Yeah, you just refund
like you're eating it. So like, yeah, maybe you're shipping out, but like the one time that like a $20 order goes missing because there's no tracking or any way for you to backstop that, all your profit from yesterday is gone. You see what I'm, so like,
it's really not that much though. Like looking at the year, yeah, if we did like 26K gross on eBay, the refund amounts like $200. So the net, you know, at least without shipping's like 24, you know, minus the couple $100 loss. It's not that big of a deal, but the time consumption portion of it, you get the messages like, dude. It's a PWE. So someone's like, hey, this thing didn't show up yet. And you have to, you know, suggest they're patient, or message you later if it doesn't show up, and then just eat it then. So
yeah, a lot of it is like time. It's just like, it's a waste of your time. Like you shouldn't be doing it. So yeah, that's my suggestion, is like, if it's already selling through and you're getting a decent amount of sales on there, cool, like let it rock, let it sell down to zero. And then after that, like again, I would not set yourself up to where you're having to list stuff on TCG Player moving forward, I would aim for like higher priced items, and I would like only list stuff on eBay. It's also like way easier to manage because trying to be like, okay, well, this needs to be listed on TCG Player, this needs to be listed on eBay, like that's just more work. It's more work, it's more time, and it's not adding up to like a meaningful amount of like extra profit. If you can just like port it all to eBay, your life's going to be so much easier, and you're going to be spending way less time doing like extra little like busy work and stuff like that. So yeah, okay. And then one thing I did see too when I was going through your numbers, so like pivoting a little bit, 20% of your gross, or right around 20% of your gross this year, was local sales. So can you kind of like break down what that's comprised of? Like what is that sort of made up of? Because like 20% is a significant amount. So like, do you have like relationships? Or was that just like a one-off big deal? Like what is that comprised of?
Let me go back and look at that. So I think 20% has been from a collection purchase that I made earlier this year. If it was sales, that probably is off eBay and off TCG Player is the third bucket I had. So that's, private sales of loose packs from pre Hype Mania 2025, back when you could, buy bulk packs. And then it's earlier this year sending a bunch off to auction at James and shipping to streamers or local streamers as well. So that was kind of like offloading the failed hits. And then there was a lot of things earlier this year that if you bought in December and sold in April or whenever that was, there was just a ton of margin. Thinking like those Chinese Pikachus, 30th, and the Detective Pikachus and all that jazz. So yeah, it was primarily sealed, and then just the efforts of buying the things that work well and in bulk and selling multiple of them. So yeah, at the beginning of the year we had a lot of inventory that was worth sending that we had a higher margin on. And like I mentioned, the collection I bought back in March has been a slow burn of vintage, which has been a time suck. And it's, yeah, there's margin there. It's just been a lot of work.
Are you already in the profit on that? Like, are you already in the black on the vintage stuff?
I think I'm a couple grand away, but I have a ton of it at PSA right now.
Okay.
But if it was a, mid 5-figure collection, lower than 50, but value wise pretty close, like we're looking pretty good on it.
So yeah, I mean, I would like a lot of that stuff. I would like if you already think like, hey, I'm gonna have like this huge windfall whenever this stuff does come back from PSA. Any of the like illiquid, I mean, some of the cheaper vintage actually does pretty good on like TCG players. So maybe just like let it rock through there or through eBay if you already have it listed on eBay. But if stuff's like not moving and you're already like, well, I'm going to be in the profit anyways, like just same sort of thing, just like churn and burn, throw it on auction. With the vintage stuff, like I maybe would do like less lots and more just like single cards. And what you're going to see a lot of the time with like vintage cards, especially if you auction them on eBay, is a lot of people, like the same people, are looking for like a lot of vintage cards, generally because they want to like fill out a set or whatever the case may be. So if you have like a bunch of e-readers, for instance, but they're like non-popular Pokemon, it's like,
I've
you
had
know,
a
like
lot
Palm
of
the
repeat.
Night.
I've had a lot of repeat buyers that have reached out and shared their kind of list of what they were looking for and took it
Yeah, yeah.
off platform. So I've done quite a bit of that.
Yeah, exactly. So like with that kind of stuff, if you have like, you know, like Almanite, Tangela, Weedle, whatever, like maybe throw those on auction and have them end like 5 minutes apart. And when you go to ship, you'll see that like the same dude won like 6 of the auctions or something. And then you can like sort of like combine shipping. But again, anytime you do shipping, like when you price shipping on an auction, build in profit on the shipping. If you know that after like a top loader, a penny sleeve, an envelope, and all that stuff, like let's say it costs you like $1 or whatever, like charge $1.99. No one is gonna care. Like no one's like, oh, this guy's gouging me. No one cares. No one cares. Like it just make sure that you're making some money. So even if the auction ends at 99 cents, you're making something. You know what I mean? Like always do that. But again, if someone buys 5 cards and you can shove them all in a card saver and a PWE, you know, discount, like don't charge them $2 per card, like don't gouge them, you know what I mean? Like, but you can drop it down to $2 and then they feel like they're getting a deal. They got all the cards and then you saved on your end because you only had to pay shipping once anyways, right? So That's what I would do with like a lot of that vintage sort of stuff. So to sort of like double click, you do have like relationships with like local streamers.
One local streamer, yes.
Okay, what about like local card stores, local vendors? Are there shows near you? Is there anything like that?
There are, but like we had our first kid back in March, so I had vended a show a while ago, and there were regular card shops that I would go to very regularly, and they would hit me up if something came in, but I've been pretty much at home since then. So yeah, like I had relationships with one or two card shops, and would pretty much just buy gradables from them pretty regularly, and they got to the point where if there's a collection that they weren't interested in, they'll refer them to me. But yeah, I've been kind of just laying low since the beginning of the year. So really, a lot of the things that I did that was working really well just kind of took a back seat. And like I said, with buying this big collection, just I've been sitting on it since March. Like a lot of the things I haven't listed or haven't sorted into and just didn't prioritize. That was like, cash I could have moved however long ago. But that's yeah, that just comes with buying a big collection at the same time as a life mood. Luckily, it was mostly WotC stuff, so it's fine.
Yeah. But again, like this all goes back to like valuing your time. And so like you just said, this store was feeding me collections and gradable cards, and I'm out here stuck listing this collection that sucked up all of my time. So instead of going into a store and buying Crown Zenith, Lost Origin, Silver Tempest, Pikachu VMAX, Galarian Galleries that I could make $85 on after fees and shipping, I'm over here listing $3.99 Kabutops commons or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's not that what you're doing doesn't make money. It's that it's not the best use of your time and most dollars per hour for like your other options. So again, like if the stuff's already listed, it's already selling through, fine. I would blow that stuff out on auction so that like mentally it's off your plate. Like you're not thinking about it. You don't have this huge death pile. Like that's number one. Like we need to work through the death pile. However you want to do that, whatever the death pile is comprised of, maybe there's some sauce in it. Maybe it's all garbage, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We need to get that out so that you don't have this huge overwhelming thing like sort of looming over you. And you need to get out into these stores. You need to like build these relationships out. And then you need to start figuring out what people's bottlenecks are. So this store that's feeding you gradables, you need to start asking probing questions. Hey, what sells really good for you guys? Hey, what do you need more of? Hey, is there anything that you can't get enough of? Maybe this dude's like, man, you know what? People come in all the time and they're asking for Silver Tempest packs. And you're like, oh, okay. Like what would you want to pay on Silver Tempest packs? And like, how many would you want? And the dude's like, man, like they'd sell really good for me. I'd probably take 1,000 at $8. And maybe Dan is selling. Maybe you hit up Dan, and Dan's got Silver Tempest for $7.75.
Right.
And you can sell 1,000 packs. You can say, yep, Dan, I'll take all those packs. He sends it to you. You drive down to that store. You drop it off. You make $250 in 20 minutes. And maybe that dude has gradable cards.
Yep.
Start figuring out what these people need and fulfill that. Solve these people's problems. Start going to shows. Talk to vendors. Hey, what sells really good for you? Hey, like, do you ever need this? Like, do you ever like what moves best for you? Like what moves really slow, and vice versa. What moves slow for you? Yeah, man, like for whatever reason, loose packs don't sell really good for me. I'm sitting on all this Silver Tempest that I broke down from all these tins that I got. I'd be willing to offload them for $7 a pop. You have a guaranteed buy from this store for $8. That's free money. You see what I'm saying? And like, again, and if you can do that at volume, you can make 25 cents a pack. If the store's going to take 500 of them, what are we doing? What are we doing fulfilling TCG player orders for $199 when we could be doing this like high volume kind of stuff? So like go through and start like double clicking on these relationships, especially if these people are making you money and this stuff is proven. Like having someone local is such a hack. And all you really need is like one good person that does really good, consistent business. And then when they learn to trust you, like you said, like they're going to start feeding you collections. Maybe they start hooking you up with like other vendors, other streamers, whatever. But like spending your time on that kind of stuff is infinitely more valuable than going through 1,000 cheap cards that are going to take forever to sell that you're going to make like fuck all on. Like if this dude, if you like you said,
heard
like
it
this,
here first, folks. If you want a bunch of bulk cards, hit up the Instagram DMs. I got you.
yeah. So like that is like such, and to be completely honest, like one of my biggest recurring contracts literally came from that. This guy I know that like owns a big location. I went in there thinking like, hey, I'm going to sell you this. And he was like, yeah, I don't really need that, but could you do this for me? And now it's this massive recurring contract for me. It's guaranteed money. So if you can solve a problem for like whether it be a vendor or a streamer or whatever, and you can set up these like recurring buys, whether it's like booster packs or singles or whatever, and once you have these like sort of guaranteed pre-sold prices in, like maybe you go in and they're like even outside of the packs or something, maybe they're like, you know, normally we only want to pay 60 to 70% on this kind of stuff. But if you can get us anything from prismatic, or if you can get any, like if you can get these 10 ARs, they sell so good for us that we'll pay 85% because we can sell them at 110%. So then now you have a standing buy order for ARs at 80%, because you can go in and buy hundreds of them and immediately turn around and sell them to this store for 85%. So once you start building in these like guaranteed outs, it could be booster packs, it could be booster boxes, it could be whatever. I have people that shop my price list around to stores and they just mark it up like $1 a box. And these dudes are doing like 5 figures a month, literally marking my price list up,
right,
and having me ship directly to the stores for Japanese booster boxes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there are so many different things that you can do that will take so little of your time, but have this massive upside. And once you start figuring out what people need and having these pre-sold sort of things and knowing what people's percentages are, knowing what moves good for people, it opens up so much opportunity for different models for you. And you might not even need to like handle it at all. Like I said, like you could potentially just have Dan ship the pack straight to this dude if you don't even want to deal with it. Now he puts a business card in every order and his name's going to say Catch 'em All Collectibles. So maybe you want to get it shipped to you first so that, you know, they're not finding it. But yeah, if Dan's like, yo, I got like an excess of this pack or whatever, I'm willing to sell it for 80% of market, and these guys will pay 90% because it'll sell so fast and they can sell it at 110% of market. That's free money, literally free money. And that is so much more worth your time. That's how you scale. That's how you get from, you know, like right above 6 figures to like $250,000, doing like maybe 20% more work, but making like maybe like 40% more profit and spending way less of your time. Like you doing these sorts of volume plays and to where it's like one big play, like it's one big thing. Like I know like one of your best plays ever was like when you bought the stuff from Sam's Club, right? And you broke it all down and you sold the packs to Dan. Why was that your best play ever? Because the profit margins were already built in and you had a guaranteed buy. So you could go to Walmart and say, I'll take all of this. All I need to do is break this down because Dan is guaranteed going to buy this. And that's like one of your best plays of all time. Why aren't we doing that 5, 10, 20 times a year? You already know it works. That's the kind of stuff that like, well, it's so much less of your time, but it's so much more profit. And that stuff is out there. You just need to ask the right questions. You need to solve problems for people. And yeah, I don't know. I'm ranting, but like
you're on a roll, man. No, I think it's you know, if you're, you know, buying and then selling, that's kind of one thing. And if, you know, not when, you know, things got you know, kind of booming this year, never really thought about like flipping the script and seeing like, okay, well, if it's a buyer's market now, that means, you know, businesses have items to sell and maybe there's a margin, and, you know, kind of turning that back around. It's easy to say like, oh, I'm going to keep buying from this game store because we have a good relationship and they help me out and all that. But yeah, never really thought about flipping that back around and seeing, you know, I guess in part of it is like having a new family, like the inventory's here, we're in the house. And like you said, it's kind of like we're stuck in like, this is what we have. But in reality, like I don't have weekends, I don't have evenings to go to these stores. So it's like, you know, I think there are other opportunities that I know you're aware of and others where like buying things in bulk online and, you know, kind of doing the grade and flip play has been good for us as well. And I think in the long term, getting back out in the field and like going to game stores and being active in the local community is totally a thing. But um,
You don't need to
with a
spend
with a
5 hours.
full-time job, it's like 8:30 to 6 something
Yeah,
most
yeah,
days.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like at nights and weekends, it's like it's family time. So part of it's just like the reality of the phase of life I'm at right now. But totally, I think there's a big opportunity to just like, yeah, consider those things and go back to my friends at the game store that yeah, we built a good relationship with.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I totally understand that, but like when you're listing and doing stuff, like you're like some of your time is being used like listing, so like that is time away from the family, and you don't need to go like spend like 10 hours at a card show. Like you can be in
Right.
and out in like 45 minutes, half an hour. Same thing with like the card store. You can be in and out in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and if that 15 minutes is going to mean like $250, you already said you're spending 15 minutes on TCG Player to maybe net 20 or 30. So why wouldn't you spend 15? I mean, you have to drive there, I guess. I don't know how far away it is, but like,
Yeah, and
why
those
would
15 minutes are in the morning before work rather than,
yeah,
after
wake up
work when we're
earlier.
at home. I tell you what, if I go to the
Like,
office, because we moved from like the city to the burbs, if I go to the office, like I'm back at that store, as long as I don't have to get back home to something afterwards. So like they are
yeah, I mean,
like
like,
a good 35, 40 minutes from us now. So yeah,
okay,
part of
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
a convenience thing.
yeah. I mean, like, I don't know when they're open, but like, wake up earlier. You know what I mean? Like it. There's or like if you actually can't make it in unless it's to drop something off and collect payment, text them, Instagram DM them, email them, whatever. Like if you already have a good relationship with this dude anyways,
Yeah,
just
we
text
talk
him.
out of the store too. Like we keep
Yeah,
up.
exactly. And just be like, hey man, like, hey, like what do you need? And just start asking those same probing questions and like line everything up before you ever have to go in there. And even if it is like a 45-minute round trip, again, if you're making $250 and when you drop stuff off, maybe there's like 5 gradable Galarian galleries or trainer galleries or alt arts or whatever. Maybe like you made $250 guaranteed. And then if there's anything gradable in there on top of it, you take 5 cards home that are gradable. Even if you made $20 a pop after fees and shipping and grading and all that sort of stuff, you just made an extra $100. You made $350 for 45 minutes of your time. You see what I'm saying? So like that kind of stuff, like the stuff that makes more money. And then like when you get home, you're done. You already made the sale. You already all you're doing is putting the cards
Right.
in sleeves and savers, and then you can spend time with your wife and your kid. You're not stuck in front of a computer listing stuff or using the AI lister to get all these raw cards up or going through and like sorting cards by set. Like you don't have to do any of that shit because that's not how your business is structured. You're valuing your time more. You're making more dollars per hour. Yeah, you had to leave the house for 30 minutes, but you made way more money. And then when you get home, you're done. It's family
Right.
time. That's it. You're not distracted. You're not on your computer. You're not on your phone. You're done. You made your money for the day. You know what I'm saying? Like
No, here, yeah.
I get that you're busy. I'm not discounting that at all. I don't have kids, so like I know it's like kind of easy for me to say, but like I promise you have an extra 30 minutes a week that you could subtract from doing the stuff that you're doing that is not making you meaningful net profit to build these relationships with people that have shown already consistently that they will provide you with graded cards, feed you collections potentially or contacts that they don't want to deal with but might work for you. And how much time is that saving you from sourcing and all that
Yeah, a
stuff?
ton.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
totally hear you.
so you start making these relationships with these people that are treating you well. Like this kind of stuff will compound so insane for you. And if you start solving problems for their business is going to grow because you're fixing bottlenecks for them. Like like my I used to primarily do like Japanese singles and Japanese graded, and I was doing good, and like my eBay was scaling, but my business exploded when I started providing a service. When I started fixing other people's bottlenecks, things exploded. And now, like a majority, I'm still doing like 1 million on eBay, but most of my business is coming from providing a service, sourcing for streamers, sourcing for vendors, so sourcing for stores, doing the wholesale with the booster boxes. And it takes so much more time. Like if I wanted to make the same net profit, it would take so much more time doing the singles and the graded cards and all that kind of stuff. But when I fix other people's businesses, like when I fix a problem for somebody's business, their business grows, and that is so infinitely scalable. So I would really, really consider that, especially since you already have these relationships that have proven that they work. Like having like local connections is a massive hack. So hopefully like this all made sense. Hopefully this is like some good stuff to chew on. If stuff's already selling through or whatever, go through and clean up the eBay. You can leave this stuff on TCG Player if you want, but moving forward, we're only buying good items. We're not buying a bunch of junk. If we're free balling on stuff, we're banking those profits. We're getting stuff out of the house. We're not creating a massive death pile. And moving forward, we're thinking about how to best optimize our time so that we're making the most dollars per hour. You get paid good at your work, which is why you want to stick with your job. So why, if you're a smart guy doing something at work that is like requires like a high level of intellect and a high skill set, why would you go into Pokemon where people are generally less intelligent and less of a skill set when it comes to the business side of stuff and take less money? You're a smart guy. You deserve to be making more per hour. You can't discount yourself. You can't discount your intelligence and your skill set and your connections. And if you're doing good business with people and you're treating people well and they're treating you well, let that shit compound. Don't discount yourself because you feel like you need to do this extra work. You don't. You don't need to do that extra work. You're past that. If you had infinite amount of time, sure. Like I said, go on Facebook, buy these big collections, spend the time to squeeze every last penny out of stuff. But like, you're not there. You're not there. You have a really good job. You have a wife. You have a new baby, and you're a smart guy, and you get paid well. So you need to value your dollars per hour. So that, I mean, we've been going for 2 hours. That's pretty much like all I had on my little sheet. I'll send you the drive sheet. I sort of wrote everything down on. After the fact is, do you feel like was this good? Do you feel like you got some value here? Do you feel like you need to, what you need to do and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. I think biggest takeaways, let's focus on doing a little bit of cleanup. Let's get some things moving and yeah, bump up the reserves, and then reconsider how we're sourcing moving forward and spending our time listing Emolgas. So yeah, super helpful. I appreciate you jumping on and talking through this. I appreciate everyone who jumped into the chat and hung out for a bit. Yeah.
I mean, look, man, Emolga's cute. I'm not hating, but yeah, you got it. All right, real quick and then we'll get out of here. Can you talk a little bit how you approach businesses to see if there's mutually beneficial relationships there? Again, it's just probing questions. Like, don't go in like a robot to where like it has to be transactional. But like, if you're already going to go into the store anyways and like look for cards, or if you need top loaders or something like that, like that's the other thing too, is like, don't just take, like you have to give a little bit too. So like, if you know you can buy top loaders cheaper on Amazon, but you like this store and you want to see like what goes on there. I mean, look, if they're standoffish, they're not nice people, then, whatever, they're probably not worth doing business with anyways. But if you go in, they're nice people, the store's doing really well, they have a good reputation in the community, all that sort of stuff, and you need card savers anyway, pay an extra $5 to support the local business, because you might end up making a multi-$1,000 relationship with this business. So go in, something that you already need, whether it's like raw cards or sleeves or card savers or whatever, go in, buy something, and just strike up conversation. Just start talking to them like, hey, like, how's business for you guys? Like what sells really good for you? Like, what are people most excited about? Like, is there anything that you guys like ever need? Is there anything that you can't get enough of? I mean, other than like English booster boxes, which is pretty obvious, but like just start asking all these probing questions. I mean, you can write a script beforehand if you need to. Literally, like, you can ask like 10 probing questions and figure out like, is there a problem I could sell here? Is there something I could provide this person? And then again, like you'll start making connections too, because it's like, okay, well, maybe I don't need this item. And so like, maybe you're just like the middleman of things too, right? So like, maybe they don't need packs, but they have too many packs. And maybe you can say, hey, well, just so you know, like, I have a standing offer. You could literally go to Dan's buy list and pick like 5 packs or 5 sets or whatever, and offer 10 cents or 25 cents less, and just be like, hey, I can buy an infinite amount of these packs at these prices. If you ever need to offload them, here's my number or Instagram. And then they're like, oh, well, we have 500 Fusion Strike packs and they're not moving for us. Maybe Fusion Strike is on Dan's hot buy list and he's buying them for, I don't even know what market price on that set is, but like maybe he's buying them for $10 and you're like, dude, I'll buy all 1,000 of these. Would you be willing to do $950? You put them in a box, you ship them to Dane, you just made $500.
Yeah,
so like
another thing is like you don't want to go in there the first time and like try to strike up too deep of a conversation. I know a lot of times stores will get turned off if you're like if you see something that's gradable, that's priced right, don't ask for a discount. Like go in and build a relationship, support them, and then when it becomes a time where it's like they have something listed $10 or $15 over TCG pricing, like if you've built that relationship and said, hey, this is actually 10, 15 bucks cheaper, they will respect that and they'll do the offering. If you go and pick up 20 cards, maybe they'll roll something off and like let them know you're interested, like give them your tax exempt form, like ask to see other ways how you can save money locally. And yeah, just be nice and kind and don't go into it trying to just take. It's really like, yeah, having a mutual relationship with other people.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. 100%. Don't be lowballing people. Like I've said this so many times. Like if it's gradable, if you get a free look, whether you're at a show or a card shop or whatever, if you get a free look at that card and you know it's going to grade a 10, pay 110% of market. Who cares? You're going to make the money on the grading anyways. They're going to feel better about it. So like definitely, those are a really good point. Like you definitely don't want to come in and be like, hey, would you do 80% on this? It's like, dude, come on. You know it's going to grade a 10. Maybe they're not a store that grades, but they know what a near mint card is. You know what I mean? And if it's well centered, people a lot of the times with near mint cards too, people will pay a little bit of a premium, even if they're only sticking it in a binder, because they want a well centered copy that looks good from the front. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was pretty much it. Hopefully this was like helpful to not only like you, but like people watching and stuff. Thank you guys for coming to this. Like I really enjoyed doing this. Like I enjoy Pokemon, but like I am so much more interested in like the business side of things and like growing business. And I used to do a lot of consulting for people in different industries. So if this is something that, anybody out there is like interested in, or maybe wants to have me do for like their business or something like that, definitely let me know. Hit me up on Instagram. But yeah, I appreciate everybody showing up. And yeah, that's about it. We're going to get out of here. So everybody have a good rest of your night, and we'll talk to you later. Adios.
See you, everyone.